Well, howdy, friends and floor heads. It is Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, depending on where in the world you are. I know where our people are. They're in a car and they're headed to Mexico. And I think we should just get started. Uncle Brian?
All right, fair enough. So last time, our intrepid adventurers staged a raid on the house of one Samson Trammell, an apparent cult leader in Los Angeles, where they found some interesting clues and a number of people with guns who didn't seem particularly happy to see them. But they made off with a book that seemed to have a lot of information on where this cult is operating throughout the world. And after some discussion, they decided that they wanted to keep chasing this thing down because they're investigators and that's what they do. So they sent their plane and pilot off to Seattle. They sent the mysterious book off to Sal's girlfriend in Chicago. And they are, as Craig said, currently in a car heading from Las Vegas to Mexico City. Now, this is almost a 2,000-mile drive. And we haven't put the interstate highway system in yet, so it's going to take 40 hours or more to get down there. Are you guys planning to like push straight through and drive in shifts, or are you going to be like civilized people and drive 10 hours, spend the night in a hotel kind of thing?
I lean towards us hoteling, but
Yeah, Adrian would recommend that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it
care
doesn't.
either way. He'll drive it all by himself, straight through.
It's barely a work week.
Right, exactly. As far as you know, there's not any particular time pressure on anything here. So I'm going to say you folks arrive probably noon on Monday, July 8th. So basically, you guys head down south out of Las Vegas, past the almost finished Boulder Dam, which will eventually be renamed the Hoover Dam, down through Phoenix. You cross the border at a little town called Agua Prieta, which Alice would know means dark water. And then you spend a couple days driving through just a long stretches of dry countryside. You've got big mountain ranges up on either side of you. Just a ton of little small towns. And then you arrive in the massive sprawl of Mexico City. Even in 1935, geographically, it's just spread over an enormous area. And as you're arriving, you realize that all you really have to go on is a post office box number, a company called Luz Discos, which means Light Records, and the initials JB. So, bienvenidos a Mexico. Where do you want to go?
Well, I think Mac wanted to do something. Dr. Adrian?
Okay, just curious if on the way down, would Adrian have been able to help get back stability points for anyone with psychoanalysis?
You can do that. I will say that it may be a little awkward depending on who you're talking to and how they feel about it, because there's not really any privacy here. So everybody else is going to hear the stuff that you're delving into, which is sometimes a limiting factor. But if people are willing to share uncomfortable details about their thoughts and feelings, you can certainly spend some psychoanalysis points to help some folks out. How is everybody doing from a stability perspective?
James is at 5, so I'm doing. I could be better. I do think if everybody's okay with it, at some point during the drive, likely when everybody's awake, I've been fidgeting the whole. I just never. You know how like you can. Someone just doesn't seem to be able to get comfortable. I'm flipping through, reading magazines, staring out the window, and then you realize that there's been a conversation I've been having in my head probably for several hours. Then suddenly it comes out loud, and I think I just take whatever magazine I'm reading. I kind of slam it onto my lap, and I say, "What the hell is going on? What are we seeing? Like, I feel like we're not. I need someone to explain this to me, because I know like drug rings. I know like gangsters. I don't know mouths talking out of closets."
I don't think any of us really do. None of us really have a lot to go on. I know that's bit terrifying, but we'll take it one step at a time, as best we can.
Well, what are we walking towards, Doctor?
Well, think first about what you already know. We're walking towards organized crime, people who want to hurt other people, and we know that we want to stop that. As far as we know, we're not going to change path for that. Just try to focus on that for now. I know there's a lot going on, but we'll take that one step at a time. We're still new to it. I think for now, keeping base level of there's some type of occult situation. It's not on you to delve deeper into that quite yet. This is just the first step.
But I'm not alone in what I'm talking about, right? All of us.
Oh, I have no clue
seeing
what's
this.
going on. I don't think I've seen it yet, but from what I've heard, some of you have.
I've seen stuff that's just plain wrong. And I was in the Great War. I was in the trenches. On my first day, they shelled the army hospital. I mean, I was this close to being blown up. I saw something in that closet that was worse than that. That was just plain wrong. So we may as well do something about it, I'd say, because what else are we going to do?
Yeah, and I don't get me wrong, Alice. I'm not backing away from this. I just need just confirmation that I'm not the only one that thinks this is more.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't explain it, but
If everything could be explained, then I imagine at this point in civilization, there would no longer be any worry about death or disease or questions about morality. There's always been inexplicable things, and unfortunately it's becoming a bit more extraterrestrial at this point, I suppose. But it's alright to be very confused about this. It's a new level of it, but it's not impossible.
So I feel like Dr. Adrian has done an incredible job of making me feel better and worse at exactly the same time in two different ways. So hats off.
and Alice is
That's
going to
the
turn around, from the side and just look at James and say, "Listen, you don't need to understand it to shoot it."
And you know what? You get a big nod from me on that one. That's the kind of thing I needed. That's perfect. So I'm good if we want to get to Mexico. I just feel like James, he's on the brink. He's grasping here at sanity 5 or at stability 5. So, all right, cool. I'm good.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
You know, if you shoot it and doesn't go down, shoot it again. That usually works.
I chuckle at him.
Yeah. All right. So, if I remember correctly, Adrian, normally when you spend those psychoanalysis points, you restore 2 stability per one that you spend. I seem to remember you had one that you were better at it than most, since you're.
I think it was opposite.
Oh, okay.
I only need 1 point for each psych point. I think it's usually you have to spend 2 for 1.
Okay.
So I just need to spend 1 for 1.
All right. So, I guess, assuming people are willing to talk about it, where are those points going to go at this point?
I don't think James is going to talk about it. As much as I mechanically would love to have more stability. I don't know if James is in the talking mood.
That's fair.
I think Alice would get to talking, and she'll take out. It's been quite an ordeal, and she really got shook up by the mouth in the closet, and also, reading about in the paper that they found all the servants' dead bodies or something, and she's still hoping that those were the guys that we killed, and that they didn't do anything to the other people, that they were safe. So she's a bit unsettled, and I think at one point she might take out. You'll see that she's been kind of playing with something in her hands, and then she'll show that she's got some kind of rusted, worn dog tags, and she's going to tell the others about how she was in the trenches in somewhere in Belgium or France, and that these were the dog tags of a soldier, the first, when she just got there, and she couldn't save him, but she took his dog tags, and she's always been like, well, I wasn't able to save him, but let's, in his memory, just, keep on going, keep on helping others. And that's kind of inspired her to keep on going.
I love that.
Yep.
So, I guess we would discuss this because it's very much how much comfort do you have talking about it. How much do you think this is going to help Alice?
Just a bit. I'm at a 6. I say perhaps get me up to a 7 or something.
All right. I may have 10 psychoanalysis points, so
You
I
may
don't know,
want them
good for you
later.
to spare. That's true. We are certainly going to need them later.
I love the optimism.
Yeah. They were fresh eventually.
Yeah.
So it's kind of puts a bit more zeal in Alice, that I'm doing this for a good thing, not because I was bored.
Yeah, I sense that a lot of these conversations are just sort of like reaffirming everybody's commitment that we're doing this, whatever this is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also know that I can recover my own stability, and I hadn't realized how stability works, so I'd spent points I didn't need to spend.
Okay.
So I would probably do that as well. Probably, I imagine it would also be through talking to everyone.
Or I could also see, with Adrian, maybe there would be a lot of quiet time, just sort of drawing sketches of the things and the people you've encountered along the way, and sort of channeling it out that way. But whatever whatever you feel like the character would do.
Doing your red string exercises.
I agree. I think Adrian would be healing a bit through introspection, but if anyone wants to talk, he's always more than happy to talk with anyone. But that's how he's healing himself a bit.
Okay.
So, for Alice, I would say, is 1 all right? Or?
Yeah, 1's fine.
Perfect. And I'll bring 1 back for myself as well.
Okay. How about Sal? Is he feeling troubled enough to talk about it in front of people?
His stability is 9. It's like another day at the office. So
Yeah. No, this is fine.
I'm sorry, Sal had some stories about his uncle.
I imagine
Sal's having the time of his life.
Yeah. And as far as I know, Sal hasn't seen anything particularly weird. He's had to shoot some people, but again, day at the office.
There's some weirdness in his background.
Mhm,
He's not
that's
comfortable
true.
sharing it yet, but
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So after some conversations and some driving and some sketching, we arrive in the outskirts of Mexico City, and now you sort of have to reach the point where you need to come up with a destination. And just as a reminder for the youngsters among us and in our viewing audience, these are the days before GPS. So what you've got is a road map that has like the major roads heading into Mexico City, and maybe some text that says this neighborhood is here and this neighborhood is here, but you don't have a whole lot to go on right now.
I think our best bet would be making it towards the town center, some type of a town square, because then from there we can go and find probably some office buildings, maybe a post office of sorts.
Yeah, I think we've got the postal box number, and perhaps at the post office, that's where we can find, where would they have businesses registered? Perhaps we can find a business registry for that La Luz, whatever it is. But first find we've got a PO box number. Let's see if we can find where that one is.
Yep.
All right. So you basically head downtown, which is where most of the roads lead, obviously enough. And indeed, there is a central, central plaza in Mexico City where a lot of the main civic buildings and stuff are. And it turns out that one of them is called the Palacio Postal, the Postal Palace, and it's basically the headquarters of the Mexican post office. So you can, you probably have to go a couple blocks to park because it's a very busy neighborhood. But you can find your way, and this is in addition to what looks like an obvious bureaucratic and business office. It is also a working post office, so there's just rows and rows of post office boxes and stuff here. There's obviously people up at the counter to help, or you can just go, look where you're going. What's the plan here?
I think one thing Adrian might do whenever we get to the Postal Palace is, and I did look this up a few weeks ago to make sure, is going to be looking for a Spanish language yellow pages. Because those are around the 1880s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is likely to be something that they would have here, like, probably a copy, chained up on the counter as a reference for people.
It's going to ask for Alice herself because it knows what yellow is. Just really wants to make sure they got the right book.
Right, exactly. Well, you can look in the front and it's a list of businesses and that kind of thing. So this does seem to be the thing you're looking for.
Yeah.
And Brian, I think when I get there, I'm just going to, not that it's going to tell us anything, I'm just going to find the PO box in all the rows.
Okay.
Just to make sure it's real, right? We've got just something written down somewhere. I want to know if there's a physical box that matches that number.
Mm-hmm. Now obviously this is a city with dozens of post offices spread throughout it, but it does look like at least there is a number 1629 here.
Okay.
So certainly this is the right place.
As we're going into Mexico City, Sal's driving, and you notice he starts to go across the center line, and is in oncoming traffic. And then he stops for a second, goes back across. He says, "What? I thought we were supposed to drive on the other side of the road." And then he smiles after that.
There are many horns honking and gestures in your direction, but no harm is done.
Yeah. When do we switch over? Do we switch over in southern Texas, or is it after the guard at the border? That's really fun.
Yeah. So Adrian, what are you looking for in this yellow pages?
Well, I guess first it's going to be looking for any companies registered as Los Discos. Any local libraries, perhaps, too?
Yes, there's a very large central library not too far from here. And as far as Los Discos, now, does Adrian actually speak Spanish?
Not fluently, but knows that luz means light in Discos.
Right, yeah, you know the alphabet, so you can find things in the listing that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, after a little bit.
I would hope he knows the alphabet. He has a doctorate.
I'm a kind and benevolent GM. You know the alphabet.
That's what guy's PhD in. Yeah,
exactly. You do indeed find it's not like a big advertisement or anything. It's just sort of a one-line entry for Los Discos at 33 Morelos Avenue in Coyoacan, which is apparently one of the neighborhoods.
Oh, okay.
Here. Very good. Very good.
So how about you, Alice? What do you got planned?
I think she'll converse with James on, what do you think the chances are we'd be able to get the, details on whose post office box this is. We could try bureaucracy, but we're very obvious gringos. And then she'll have a thought. It's like, perhaps, why don't we leave a note? Why don't we leave a note in this post office box. And I'm not quite sure what yet, but we try and draw them out. We try and set up a meet and see who comes.
Yeah, I think I have that conversation with you. I think, at some point I throw out as a just throwing spaghetti against the wall. We'll see what sticks. We could break into the place and stuff. And then I'm like, maybe not. And then you say, leave a note. That immediately I nod. I'm like, that makes a lot more sense than the path I was headed down. What should we say? Do we have, and this is to really everybody, including the keeper, do we have any sense of the purpose or the context of this box? Like, is there any reasonable guess we could make on its connection?
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I think the PO box is being used for the correspondence between that, the guy in Los Angeles and the JB. So this is probably how they communicate. And I wouldn't be surprised if, what was his name? Trammell. He knows we've got the testament. He will have warned the others that we're coming, maybe. So why not just let him know we're here? To some degree, we've got it. You want it? Something like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think Alice, let's use a language they might be familiar with. Let's leave a note saying, Trammell told us more than he was supposed to.
Yeah.
We are more than willing to keep our mouths shut. Meet us at this place at this time, maybe 2 or 3 days from now, to give them some, I don't know if they pick up their mail daily.
Yeah.
Make it seem like more of a blackmail situation. Just because I think that they would believe that or recognize that, maybe.
Yeah. I like that. I like the sound of that. Sal, what do you think?
Sal is kind of, he's the lovable mafiosi type, but he's not too sharp. I mean, his thought process is, tackle it head on. So he would say, well, let's just, lure this guy to a park and just beat him to a pulp until he tells us what we need.
That's
work for me.
Adrian just looks over from the yellow pages.
I'm not.
What?
But I mean, they're gonna know it's a trap. So we need to do it in a safe way for us. But I think the blackmail angle is that we need to somehow draw them out.
I got a couple presents for them in the back trunk.
That's right. We brought tools.
Yeah, and just for reference, it looked like things were being checked fairly strictly on the way out of Mexico into the U.S. But on the way in, it's like they looked at your documentation. They kind of looked at the four of you and just waved you on. There was no search or anything. Also,
are y'all saying all of this just out loud in English? Or y'all whispering at any?
Oh, no. I think in my mind, some of these conversations probably happened on the drive down. Because
in the car.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You had plenty of time to plan this.
No, we're not. A bunch of gringos going,
so what if we find these people and beat them up? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then perhaps, so I've got a note, and then, in a note. Because we also need to decide who's going to drop the note off. Because they're potentially going to see this person. We don't know.
I will volunteer to do that, and I will fight anybody who tries to. James, that's mine.
Is there a specific reason you're so insistent on it?
I would feel better if I was a target, knowing that the three of you will be there for me.
And Trammell saw you. He didn't see us.
Oh, good call.
All right then.
And that reason too, James says.
Well done, James. Well done.
Yeah. So where are we gonna set this meeting up?
I'm thinking somewhere, obviously somewhere public. Maybe we don't finalize it till we get to Mexico City. We seem to like to meet people in the park. So some sort of public park that's near the center of the city, near where we're gonna hole up.
Yeah, there's actually on the way in to this building, you pass the Alameda Central, which is like the oldest. It's like the Central Park of Mexico City,
Perfect.
which is, yeah, like I say, 2 blocks from here.
And if there's a statue we can reference.
Yeah, there's like a fountain in the middle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Also, I will say at this point, it's been a just slow relenting of Adrian going from wearing the big overcoat to this one. Just they're in Mexico, just cannot handle that he is just wearing their dress shirt and trousers. Just has relented. Okay.
Adrian fought the good fight as long as they could.
Yes,
He did
exactly.
so well. Went from New York to Los Angeles to Mexico, just got worse and worse.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like we're writing up a note that basically says, what you were saying, Craig. He told us too much. We're happy to give you back what you have. Meet us. You want to say in 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
By the fountain in the Alameda Central.
And when I go to the counter at the post office, we'll have the address written out on an envelope like it's going to be mailed. And I'll just point to where a stamp would go and just kind of gesture, do you want me to pay for a stamp? And I'll have some currency out if they want me to technically mail it, or whether they'll put it into the box or not for us.
I would say that this guy probably has at least some English, because there's a lot of expatriates and
Gotcha.
travelers in here. Now, just for reference, do you? No. Never mind. You said what you said. So yeah, he does charge you for a stamp. It's like a nickel, probably less than that. And he puts it on, and you see him basically just walk back to the area where you were inside.
Money well spent.
Yeah, you will notice. I mean, technically, he takes it and then he runs it through the machine to cancel the stamp.
And then
he goes. And I will say that when he opens the thing to put it in, it looks like there's a lot of mail in that box already. And he actually comes back and he says, it does not look like that mail has been picked up in some time, Senor. Just, I suppose, so you know.
That concerns me. It is my brother-in-law's box, and you're saying he hasn't been by here recently? I was coming down to check on him and his well-being.
Yeah, he says, no, it does not look like it's been picked up in a few weeks.
So my sister is living with me in the States. Her husband's been down here for well over a year now. And I'll be very open with you. The reason I'm down here is to check on him. And not being obnoxious about it, but I kind of put my wallet on the counter. I say, is there any way I could get maybe a physical address that's registered to this box? My sister is very concerned about her husband.
And he when you were telling him the story, he had that sort of polite, I'm listening, but I'm not really interested in your problems kind of look. And when you pull the wallet out, he kind of glances down in it. He says, yes, there would be an administrative fee.
Of course. And I don't think James understands the
exchange rate.
So he's waiting for a price, or maybe he pulls out 1 peso, 2 pesos.
Yeah, so you guys did change your money on the way in. That's fine. Yeah. I would say probably probably 5 pesos would be enough to get. All right, and he actually says, "1 moment, please, senor." Perks up, tucks the thing away. Not in a cash register, oddly enough. Just puts it in his pocket, but I'm sure he'll deal with it later.
For safekeeping.
Yeah, exactly. And he basically goes to a big kind of card catalog and flips through and pulls out a little card and writes something down, and gives you an address in Coyoacan that says Luz Discos, and it's apparently registered by someone named Jonathan Brooks. And there is an address there, and he says, I hope that your brother-in-law is well, senor.
Thank you. And I am really pleased with myself. gather my wallet, and I will find the other three.
I did a bribe in a foreign country.
Yeah, and I like put the paper in front of you. Look what I got.
Adrian joins with the same address.
Yes, exactly.
It's this P.O. box. I think someone has not been checking their mail. If they will, they'll get our note. But more importantly, I have an address of who owns this. And what was the name again? I'm sorry, Brian.
Jonathan Brooks.
JB. Perfect.
Okay. That does sound like I imagine the four of us are in the car again, parked off the side street.
Mm-hmm.
That's an English name? So we're going to have perhaps first find a hotel, find a safe place that we'll be staying somewhere not too close but not too far from where this Los Discos is, and then do a stakeout, see what we can find out about this place before we go in.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to have a meeting in 2 days, just based on how that box getting checked. What do you want to drive by and see what this business is first? Do we want to drive by and see where Mr. Brooks lives? What are we thinking?
Well, it's the same address.
Oh, it is the same address. I missed that.
Yeah, the post office box is apparently the business address. It's like labeled Luz Discos, registered by Jonathan Brooks.
I apologize. I thought it was his private residence. So yeah, that's okay. So we know that two are connected. Apparently JB owns this. So let's see if we can figure out what business it is. Go ahead, Adrian.
Well, one thing was in that book, the last correspondence from here was in just a few weeks ago. That's an awful lot of correspondence to just suddenly stop receiving. How much were they sending every month if this is how much is just from a few weeks? Did you get a chance to see it? What was in there? Any packages, or was it all letters? Could you see what was in the P.O. box?
I think it was all letters.
Yeah, it was a pretty small box, so if any packages would probably be stored elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it was packed pretty good.
If he hasn't picked it up, he hasn't heard news from Trammell that we've got the thing.
Oh, that makes the note a bit more concerning.
Well, maybe I think let's find a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's check out this Los Discos, and perhaps, it'd have to be somebody other than James. We can figure out a way that we can get the contents of that PO box. I mean, what do you need to show to be able to take it? Perhaps.
You look a lot like my sister.
But first, let's check out Los Discos, or see what information we can find about that.
Okay. I think at the post office, it's pretty easy for you guys to get a slightly more detailed street map of at least the sort of major downtown area. So it looks like this Los Discos is maybe 2 miles away from here. It's not particularly far. So you make your way down in that. I'm sorry, did you want to get a hotel first, or?
I think perhaps if it's not too far away,
this is the center of downtown.
Yeah.
There's certainly some very nice / expensive hotels here. Going a little farther out, you can certainly find something more middle brow or even super cheap if you're running on a budget.
I feel a middle brow.
Okay.
Middle, not too fancy, not too showy.
Yeah, so you find a place called the Hotel Regis. It looks like it was a pretty nice hotel, is now a little bit on the threadbare side. It's not decrepit or anything, but you can tell that it hasn't been refurbished in a while. It actually has a full movie theater like built into it downstairs, which is kind of interesting. But it's certainly reasonably priced. Those of you who do pay attention to exchange rates, the dollar's pretty strong right now, at least in comparison. So you're able to get a good rate there. Drop off your paraphernalia, and then head down to Los Discos. So the Coyoacan neighborhood where this inn strikes all of you, particularly Adrian, gets a feel that this is a very sort of artsy bohemian kind of neighborhood. There's a lot of big colorful murals painted on the buildings. Adrian would probably know that this is where Diego Rivera lives, who is a very well-known mural painter at this time. His wife is apparently also starting to do some art stuff, but she's not going to do anything important. It doesn't take you long to find Morelos is kind of like the big main drag of this neighborhood. And the address is a 2-story stucco building. It's got the wrought iron railings and the big colorful tile all over everything. There's an outdoor stairway, and you see a small sign that says Los Discos above the second floor entrance. And there's only like one door up there, so it looks like it's the entire second floor.
No way of getting a sense of what the hell this business is yet, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, just from the name, you would assume it has something to do with making records, but that's
Right.
all you got.
Does it look like a business? Are there shops, or are they just
an office?
I mean, the lower floor of this building has a couple of what look like small business offices. This does look like it's more of a commercial couple blocks. It certainly could, in theory, be a residence, but it strikes you as more of a business location.
I mean, we're not in any major rush. We have time to, walk around and perhaps enjoy the murals for a bit.
perhaps check out the neighbors?
Mm.
Oh,
And-
yes, do that as well. Of course, stick to strictly business.
Mhm.
Don't appreciate the art.
And Sal, if you agree, I'm recommending we keep our tools in the trunk, not bring them into the hotel room.
Oh, absolutely. You know what?
Makes
I
perfect
think I
sense.
need a sombrero.
Mac, I don't want to give you homework, but I think we need a picture of Sal in a sombrero at some point.
Yeah, for those of you that don't realize it, all of the character art is Max, which is amazing.
Good stuff. Right. So, sorry, go ahead.
Do we see what the business is on the ground floor? Is it a shop, or is it an office?
I would say there's probably like an accounting office down there, and maybe a dentist.
Okay.
And another thing that looks like maybe some kind of notary or law office or something.
Notary or law office, that's something that you can go to with a bit of an excuse. Or the dentist. Does any of you have a sore tooth? We go in there and try and see what information.
I mean, we could punch the lights out of one of us, and then that will give us a very quick reason.
I think Sal perpetually has a loose tooth.
This one time, I haven't got it fixed yet. It causes some pain from time to time.
But I'm kind of smoking what you're growing here, which is maybe we can go in and just say, hey, need a cleaning, and start a conversation. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Who would probably be the most? Would a notary or a dentist talk about their neighbors?
I would say the hairdressers would talk more, and I imagine there's somewhere around this more artistic part that has a hairdresser.
Yeah, there's not one in this building, but there's certainly one relatively nearby.
Well,
Across the street, probably.
the dentist is downstairs, so perhaps one of us has a sore tooth and the other one has come along to accompany them, and we can, we're foreigners and
I nominate
Steve.
Sal as the patient and Alice as the translator.
Sal, you see Sal get nervous,
We've found his weakness.
and he kind of looks around, and then he says, "Just so as you know, yeah, I really don't like dentists."
Are you scared, Sal? James says that.
Me scared? Nah. I haven't met one that I can't knock out.
All right. So,
Also, James, that's a bold exclamation to take from somebody who was white knuckling every plane ride we've taken in the past month. So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I give you a bit of a dirty look at that little comment, Dr. Adrian.
Yeah.
I don't say anything, but you get a bit of a dirty look from me.
Just reminding you.
Well, in James' favor, I really did poke some fun at him. So yeah, I have it coming toward me. I'm okay with that.
So, but Sal, if you're all right, shall we go to the dentist, and then I'm going to, in my best Spanish. We're tourists, we're.
¿Dónde está Casa de Pepe? Yeah.
Yeah. So, ¿dónde está? And do they have many foreign? Do they have more foreign clients? Just I'll just chatter about while they check over your teeth and try and find the toothache.
Okay. So yeah, you come in and there's it looks like a pretty young practice. The receptionist / nurse, because she's doing both, is maybe 20, and the doctor's probably like late 20s at best. But he seems to know what he's doing. The doctor has very little English. The receptionist has some more, but it's very easy to sort of come in and do it looks like they're free right now. So the doctor will take Sal back and start poking around in his mouth.
Okay, but Alice is going to come along, and she's her Spanish is passable. So she has a very strong accent. I mean, she's not going to pass for local, but she can express herself. And she said, "No, I have to go with my compañera." She's using the wrong endings and stuff. My amiga is misgendering. So is very tiene miedo, is afraid of the dentista. And
Sal nods like he understands what's going on. It's clueless. He doesn't.
Yeah, so we're on holiday here, and do you have a lot? She's just talking along and not trying to distract him, but trying to get him to speak. Like do you get a lot of foreign patients? Have you been here long? What's it like living in Mexico City? Just going all over the place.
Yeah.
And just trying to move the conversation.
Can I speak to you before we get started?
Sorry.
Sal leans up close to your ear and says, I understand what you're doing, but he's going to be poking around my mouth. Distraction just scares the hell out of me right now.
Wants the dentist to be very focused.
Yeah.
So, going to try and steer the conversation towards hey, do you have do more foreigners come here? What's the neighborhood like? Can you recommend a particular restaurant? Oh, this is a really nice building. There's a notary next by,
right.
And just try and move it towards ultimately, are there any other try and because apparently that Jonathan Breaks or whatever he's got to be foreign, and the neighbors. So just try and see if she can get him to talk.
Do you have any closets that have sore teeth?
All right.
How long is it here?
Well, the first thing while this is going on, Chris, I want you to just roll me a d6 for Sal.
Okay.
We'll call this a dental hygiene check.
Mm.
Oh dear. Okay. So yeah, the dentist starts exploring, and he sort of does the whole thing as Alice is talking. He just kind of does an occasional grunt or or
Yeah.
nod, like he's clearly paying more attention to Sal's mouth than he is to your conversation. But the nurse is happy to chat, and they say it's mostly local clientele, but they get some Americans in sometimes, or other visitors. And what kind of interpersonal skill are we thinking you're using here? Would this be like I'd normally call it something like oral history, but I don't
I've
think
got
that you're...
flattery, reassurance. I don't know. I don't think bureaucracy would make much sense. So.
Probably not.
So I perhaps reassurance, trying to get them both into a, trusting and a, hey, this is a really nice, nice lady. Let's have a chat, and this is a fun day, something like that.
Okay. Tell you what, go ahead and spend me a point of reassurance.
Okay.
As you're working through, and yeah, the conversation starts going on, and the nurse is happy to talk about the neighborhood, and oh yeah, it's really safe. There's a lot of great art, and music and everything going on here, and you gradually work your way around to talking about the neighborhood and the building, and sort of by extension the neighbors. And she says, yeah, it's gotten a lot quieter here recently. The people upstairs, she says, used to be always yelling and playing loud music until the wee hours of the morning. It was a big problem, but the past few weeks it's been quiet up there, so thank God for that kind of thing.
Okay. Oh. And she might like, oh, what type what type of business? It's Las Discos. That's a kind of a light.
It's and she kind of does a gesture, music album records. Yeah.
Oh, records. Okay.
Yeah, they I think manage or produce or something up there. They always talk about these great parties they would go to, and they said they'd invite me, but they never did.
No, they never do. They never do.
Don't go to their parties.
Meanwhile, at this point, the doctor kind of leans over and gets the nurse's attention. There's a short exchange in rapid fire Spanish. And the nurse turns back to you, sort of ignoring Sal entirely, and says, it looks like one of the molars will have to come out. And Sal, you see the doctor, putting together this, like, got some big horse needle that he's drawing some kind of presumably an anesthetic into.
Okay, and Alice is gonna look like, okay, and then turn to Sal and put her hand. It's like, Sal, it's gonna be all right. They found the problem, so just close your eyes. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. You've been very, very brave man.
Sal is grabbing the arms of the chair so tightly, he's leaving his fingerprints impressioned in there. He is stark. He looks terrified.
Okay.
He sees that needle and he looks absolutely terrified.
But he's sticking with it.
Yep, he's going to stick with it.
Okay. So yeah, doctor comes over, brushes a little something on your gums, and obviously he doesn't have a lot of English, but he kind of just pats your shoulder and says, "He's okay." And then he goes in, and there's the brief shot of pain, and then that sort of numbing sensation spreads out along one side of your jaw.
And I think I can imagine that Alice goes kind of quiet because she's actually quite interested. She's, she's been more of a, medical nurse, but she has been with some impromptu dentistry. And she's like, okay, how did they do this in Mexico? And, just chatting along with the nurse is like, oh, how do you do this? Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, 1930s dentistry is a little less sophisticated than we have today. I mean, he's got like a foot-powered drill that he kind of, presses up and down with his foot while he's operating. We cut to outside, where James and Adrian are like, they've been in there a long time.
Yeah, at some point, Adrian had wandered off to go find a small, bodega or corner store just to get something.
Sure, all over the place here.
Just to get something to apologize to James for that slight about the planes. Just they aren't back yet. I spent a bit of time at the shop. They aren't done yet.
No, but hopefully that's good news. I kind of look at my watch and I say, I'd give him another 20, 30 minutes, then I might want to go in there. And let's not wander too far.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit of an issue with Adrian now. He's in the art district. You're having a bit of trouble making him stay in place.
Yeah, there's cool stuff all over the place. There's
so
like
much happening.
groups of little musician groups on a street corner.
This is an area of history in the making, and you're telling him to stand still.
No, and I definitely like the idea of you being distracted, but I also will make sure that I'm keeping you within my eye line as well. So if it means that I need to smoke a cigarette over on that corner of the street, then I will.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into the grisly details of Sal's tooth extraction. Suffice it to say that, maybe half an hour later, the process is done. The side of your face is still numb and probably will be for a while, but you're pretty sure it's going to hurt when it wears off. He hands you a little wax paper bag with a number of big aspirin in it. And gives you a sheet of instructions in Spanish. He basically, goes to the nurse and basically says, keep it dry, try not to chew on that side of your mouth, blah, blah, blah. If there's a lot of bleeding, come back, the usual kind of post-dental thing. But if nothing else, the anesthetic was very effective. So that process is complete. And, they charge you probably $10 for the process, and wish you good luck. Was there anything else while this was going on, Alice, that you wanted to try and ferret out, or just
I think I tried to ferret out as much details about the various neighbors and what the opening times are, and etc. And when did they last see, and had she seen anybody from the neighbors, when that kind of.
Yeah. Basically, she says that it was probably about 3 weeks since she's seen anybody up there. There was an American guy was part of that business in some capacity. She doesn't know anything about what they do.
Alice is also going to ask a couple of questions about the nightlife. Is there any interesting nightlife? Because she wants to try and find out, is it very busy at night here, or would it be quite pretty quiet?
Oh no, this is sort of the party district, if you will. So especially on weekends, evenings here are hopping by all accounts.
But on a regular, where would you go on a regular Monday night or Tuesday night?
I mean, she names probably half a dozen different clubs within a few blocks. There doesn't seem to be any one particular hot spot.
Okay, but just to get a kind of an idea of how much traffic there would be, how many people, etc. And then she'd be like, muchas gracias. And thank you very much for taking care of my...
De nada.
And she's going to think, brother, friend, whatever.
And if you say something weird, they'll probably just assume you got the word wrong. So,
so my compañera is, and then they're going to head out. And
and before you go, Sal, the doctor kind of looks at you very sternly and does a flossing motion.
Sal is glaring at him at this point.
I believe
nightmares for the next 5 months.
Yeah.
You're pretty
but
sure
as we go out,
probably put this particular dentist on a hit list.
And as they leave, Alice is going to look at Sal and then just really serious and say, Sal, that was really brave. Thanks for doing that. And I know it was, it's always horrible to have a tooth pulled, but look on the bright side. Better that you got it taken care of now than have problems later. But
He
good,
nods.
well done.
It says,
Nice. And yeah, you guys are able to regroup outside.
Yeah. So and I'm like, and then like,
You guys would definitely notice that one side of Sal's face is kind of swollen.
So it actually
Elbow
turns
Adrian.
out that Sal had a rotten tooth. So it turned out, but it seems that Los Discos hasn't been here. That it's been quiet for the past 2-3 weeks. So that I think we need to somehow get in there, probably in the evening.
Well, did they say it was closed, or was it just?
Yeah, it's
seemingly
close.
quiet?
They haven't heard. It's always quite lively, and they had a lot of noise, but they haven't heard anything, and they haven't seen anybody for a couple of weeks now. So that's probably our best bet. We need to somehow figure out how to get in there.
Well, Sal, why don't we go knock on the door right now? And if nobody answers, put someone on lookout. I don't know if I want to wait till tonight. If they're closed, and they're not checking their mail, nobody's up there. I mean, if it's just an office on a hallway, I don't know if we have to wait.
Isn't
I
the
will-
front
And
door
looking at
in
the
full
time
view of
on
the
it?
street?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically, there's an outdoor stairway leading up on a little balcony area, and the door's
Okay.
up there. I will say that given the time spent getting here and that kind of thing, it's about time when everyone seems to go inside for a nap.
Ooh.
It's the afternoon siesta.
Uh-huh.
So if you're going to do something like this looks like it might be a good time. The traffic on the street does look like it's dwindling a bit.
Allison and Doc, do you mind minding the front door? And
Yeah, sure.
Sal, I got to really use the bathroom, so hopefully they have one.
Right, well, I will say, last time we rushed into something, that is when a house caught on fire and our criminal sketch profiles were put in the newspapers. So do be careful if you're going to do this.
Yeah. But Alice is already on the lookout.
No lie there.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. All right. So, Allison, Adrian, were you just like waiting at the bottom of the stairs on the street nearby?
I think
I follow
perhaps
Alice's
one
lead.
at the bottom and one in the street.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. And our two gentlemen upstairs, it is, like I say, kind of a long stucco balcony with the wrought iron work, and there's a little, plaque next to the door that says Luz Discos. The door is the plain, ordinary external door.
Locked.
So you're knocking. It does seem to be locked, yes.
I would like to unlock it.
Okay. Let's see. You do indeed have some locksmith skills, so it
Thank you.
sort of takes just a moment for you to fiddle with it, and it pops open. Opening up inside, it does look like this occupies most of, if not all of, the second floor of this building.
Okay.
It looks like it probably was originally one single room, but has been sort of subdivided into smaller offices. There's like a reception area up front, and like a short hallway with some halls on either, or doors on either side. And the first thing that strikes you is that this place looks like it has been cleaned out. Like there are filing cabinets against the wall that are all open and there's nothing in them. You can see in one of the back offices there's like a safe which is hanging open and empty. Desk drawers, you see like some stray staples and that kind of thing. There are a couple like stray papers around and like a pile of junk mail on one desk, but not a lot is here.
Yeah, obviously, I kind of make a gesture, Sal, for let's comb this place, right? And disregarding anything that is obviously nothing, but just trying to find anything that connects to LA, anything that would give a hint to where they went or why they left, addresses, anything. So
Sure. So looking through what's left here, there's a lot of catalogs that seem to deal with record production and manufacture and industrial stuff. They're all addressed to this Jonathan Brooks guy at this address, so nothing particularly exciting there. You find two things that might be interesting. The one that catches your eye the most is that there is a receipt for basically what looks like a number of something being ordered to be delivered to an address in Bangkok.
Okay.
Which is interesting because A, it seems a little out of place, and B, that was mentioned in the book you guys were looking at.
All right.
And you also find a letter that looks like they are trying to get quotes for producing like a volume of physical records. So there's another address there for a place called Novo Records that apparently does the manufacturing.
But it's in Mexico. That's closer.
It is in Mexico, yes. So yeah, other than that, that's there's like some junk mail, there's like some flyers for different bands and that kind of thing, but it looks like almost anything of interest or value has been cleared out of here.
Okay.
No keys for the postal box or something?
No, you do not find any keys.
Lock it back up, head out,
Okay.
come downstairs and say, well, we got two options. I show the Bangkok address and then I show the record address. I said, I think one might be where we go first.
I agree. Bangkok is lovely this time of year. Did the quote say how many they were making? Because if it's a mass production, they might be trying to get this to a lot of people.
Let's take a quick look here. So we've got 30 records, it looks like. De La Luz. Going to, that's the order to Siam. Let me look here. And then there's a price quote.
100 to 5,000.
Yeah, lots
So
of
they're
copies.
giving, quoting various volumes.
Yep.
Oh dear.
Anywhere from 100 to 5,000. So maybe they found the newest hit artist. I don't know, but I would love to learn more about this business, and maybe we find that by talking to somebody they were doing business with.
Any way that you think that we, with this or anything that you found there, that we'd be able to get access to that, to what's in the post office box?
I didn't see anything, but our chances of swaying my friend at the counter increases. I think the more that we can add credibility to it. I think my money bought his belief in the. I'm down here investigating what happened to my brother-in-law, so I think we keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that in our back pocket.
It's a shot in the dark, but we didn't get to use the PO box key we found in Henslow's box, did we? Because the place was shut down. Is it possible that was
the safe deposit
actually
key?
useful?
That was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when you were in LA, it looked like they recognized that as a safe deposit box key.
Gotcha.
So it's, I suppose, theoretically possible that it might be for this, but it doesn't seem likely.
Okay, that's fair.
When Doc Adrian says a shot in the dark, you see Sal kind of look uneasy for a brief moment.
You're right there, Sal.
So.
Oh, looks like Brian's internet is struggling. You there, Brian? Let's take a look. Yeah, we're struggling. Let's do a quick 10-minute break. We'll give a chance to see if we can't get a little bit better sound out of Sal, and if we can't get Brian to come back. It looks like we've lost Brian, so we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I gotta refill my coffee. We are back. I just need to bring Brian back into the overlay. Give me just 1 second. Where is it? Cast cams, keeper, and there we are. We are good.
Excellent. All right. Well, before that slightly unplanned break, we had just investigated the offices of Loose Discos, which looked like it had been pretty thoroughly cleaned out. You did get a couple documents that might be helpful, but you have locked the place up and were, I think, deciding whether to go to Bangkok or to visit another place in Mexico City.
I think we're going to the record store.
Okay.
Also, Brian, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What day did we all meet up with Janet?
Your original meeting with her was Monday, June 24th. So it's been basically 2 weeks that you've been working for her.
Gotcha.
So it sounds like this place may have been abandoned at some point before you guys even started on this
Good
whole
call.
process. Right. So you guys make your way to the address. This is sort of, I won't call it the outskirts of town because it's still well in central Mexico City, but it's a little outside the downtown area. And you get to where the address you have on that sheet should be. But what you see when you get there is 3 mostly gone brick walls and a big old pile of rubble, like ash and fire blackened stone, with like a red and yellow rope across the front, kind of like serving the sign of police tape. It looks like this place burned down, blew up, or was otherwise destroyed in some dramatic fashion.
Okay.
Yeah. They think we're bad about blowing stuff up.
Maybe they're just more efficient.
So much for that.
I think we need to find out when this happened. What happened? Ask the neighbors?
Yeah. Let's maybe snap
Sure.
on some
I mean,
doors.
this is maybe a more industrial neighborhood, but there are plenty of businesses around, various warehouses and factories and stuff, and you can certainly find someone to talk to. You've got enough good conversationalists in the group. It looks like it burned down about 2 weeks ago. They can say it was a Sunday night.
It was a Sunday night a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it would have been checking the calendar, it would have been the 23rd of June.
Okay.
Any casualties?
Yeah, apparently the owner was inside when the place went up.
Oh, what horrible. Oh, horrible.
Yeah. And Chris, I see you making that face. That does sort of ring some bells with Sal. If a building burns down with the owner inside it, it is certainly a thing that could happen accidentally, but it also has been known to happen in the past as a way of sending a message.
Yes. You're muted on video right now. So.
How about now?
I got you. You're real low.
Quiet,
though.
but you're there.
Okay. How about that?
A little bit better, but not much, brother. I'm not going to lie to you.
The joys of audio management.
Okay, how about that?
Better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are you checking with the police?
I am. Yeah, I don't know if we have. I don't know where to go next. We've got him gone. LB is not there anymore. That business is gone. Mm-hmm. The partner here that they were going to potentially, I guess, get records printed from is aggressively closed. Can we? Oh, go ahead, Mac.
Oh, you go first. You're all good.
what I was going to say is, this is a shot in the dark. Is there any value in us seeing if we can figure out what type of records were being made by this studio? Maybe go to a record store and say, hey, do you have anything made by Los Discos? And because I want to get a sense of, was this a front or was this part of the plan?
I think we should also try. I mean, do we try and see what they come up with in the investigation? And I want whatever's in that post office box.
Okay.
So, but yeah, record store.
Sal's going to look kind of left, right to see if anybody's watching them, and then he crosses under the line.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, there are a couple people around, but they don't seem to be paying you any particular attention.
He would try to explain the what's running through his mind now, but in the numb mouth going on, it would just sound like gibberish. So,
right. Oh, you know what, guys? While you're doing that, I should apologize because there was one more document you guys found in the office that I didn't have in the right place. It looks like an invoice from a recording studio. If I can get it to appear for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was anticipating this place to be a recording studio, so that
no,
makes
this
sense,
looks like
but
it was a manufacturing plant. Where
No,
they
I'm talking
physically
about
press the record.
LB's place.
Right, exactly. No, that was clearly
Yeah.
more of an office. All right, so
Got
you guys should now be able to see that that invoice. My apologies for missing that.
So June 6th. Okay. All right.
So anyway, Sal, you are, kind of going in to take a look at the remnants here.
Yes.
Do you have what am I looking for here? Any
Insurance fraud skills.
I'm not going to ask a question like that. Do you have like forensics or evidence collection or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
James does.
Okay.
So
Well, are you
maybe
going
Sal,
with him?
you want to flag me in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sal, you can tell that the fire started near this front wall that is now gone, but there's not a lot there that that really connects things for you. There were specialists for this sort of thing. You probably weren't involved in it directly, but James, when you start taking a look at it, it looks like you would lay dollars to donuts. This was arson. There was some kind of accelerant, and it looks like it probably spread pretty quickly once it was in there. The ceiling looks like it was made of something pretty flammable, and it wouldn't have taken long for this whole place to go up. But you're pretty sure it was started intentionally.
Somebody uses the same methods as your people, Sal.
He laughs. He tries to say, and again, it would be hard for him to get out, kind of muffled, that sometimes the police have their own conceptions of what happened, and they overlook the true truths.
Yeah.
So he's going to look around to see if he can find anything hidden or something that just looks out of place.
Yeah, looking around, it's like I say, it's mostly rubble, and any paperwork or stuff was here. It looks like it was damaged in the attempts to put out the fire. You can see the remnants of what you'd guess is probably some kind of record stamping machine. There are big supplies of gosh, I guess it probably would have been shellac that the records were made of at this point. But yeah, I mean, anything here that was usable as evidence or documentation has been wrecked.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't see anything particularly useful.
So, do we
Actually,
check out where they
hold
recorded
on.
it?
Oh,
Sorry.
No, because I'm thinking, because Sal has some occult background. So what I will say is, you've pretty much swept the place. You're like, oh, there's nothing here. All the files and paperwork, everything are gone, and you kind of, are turning to head back to the car, and you notice a little stretch on one wall near what you guess would have been the business office. You can see like the remnants of a desk and some filing cabinets and stuff in there. And there is a stretch on the wall that looks like it is, because obviously there's water damage and burning damage everywhere here, but there's a little stretch that has this sort of cracked, discolored area that is, and maybe it's just because this has psychologically been relevant to you, but it's in kind of the shape of a mouth. There's no opening or anything there, but it's got that kind of vaguely oval setup in this sort of crusty orange material that you're not sure what it would be.
Sal points to it and says, someone else had dental work.
Yeah. I look at it and you see me struggling, just kind of standing there staring at it. And then finally, somehow I find enough gumption to kind of walk over. And I just want to see, is this just a happenstance, the way the scorch marks worked, or is there evidence that this was more than just a happy accident?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but definitely the stuff that's making the shape, that sort of crusty, baked on orangish substance, isn't something that you see anywhere else. It doesn't look like it's any kind of fire extinguishing thing. It's not wallpaper paste or anything else that would have been there. This is the only place you see it, so it looks like it was specific to this. It's hard to make any more conclusion than that.
Yep. When we come back out, Alice, there's no question this was on purpose. And the fact that we find out that the owner was in there leads me to believe it wasn't done by him. And it's possible your friend from the closet was here too, but I'm not sure.
So we check out where they recorded it, whether that's also smoking ruins.
I think that's next, right? That's the third spot. Go ahead, Sal.
I think Sal's going to look around to see if there's any fabric or anything that he can put just a piece of this crusty stuff in, just to maybe, look at it or try to discern its material makeup.
I would say, if nothing else, you've got a handkerchief or something you can use. There's certainly nothing in the ruins, but you can sort of break off a piece of the wall with some of this stuff on it and fold it up and put it in your pocket.
Well, do we want to stop here for now and then pick up tomorrow? Let Sal get a bit of rest after a tooth removal.
Yeah, and then go to Studio del Mañana tomorrow.
It's probably about 4:30 in the afternoon by this point.
The other thing, Alice, if you think we shouldn't take a swing at getting access to that box,
I think perhaps. I mean, we've got the name. We've been there. You've got the cover. We don't know if that very helpful young man will still be working tomorrow. Perhaps you can swing by as the very increasingly worried brother-in-law. You stop by, it's gone, they're out, and you're hoping that this will, which is true, provide some insight into perhaps where he's gone or what's happened to him.
And you would have just reason if the store has itself actually closed. The office is closed,
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking too.
Plenty to back it up if you go back.
I'd like to go back to the post office if we could, Brian.
Okay. Easily enough done.
And I'll go in there by myself. I hope my friend is still working.
Yeah, he's, it's the kind of thing where like you get to the front of the line and somebody else kind of points to you, but you can just sort of do the, no, I want to talk to this guy thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm going
Mhm.
to, I assume I've gotten his name at this point and go, so I've made a little bit of progress in the last couple hours since we talked. I don't think my brother-in-law is here anymore. My sister's asked me to kind of tidy up the affairs. So I would assume there's a money owed on the PO box. I'd like to go ahead and make sure you're paid for that. Obviously I'll take whatever's in there and bring it back to my sister, but I'd hate for you guys to be stuck with that box with my brother-in-law gone and, not have that bill paid.
So, it's the same thing. You come back to talk to him and there's that moment of, oh, this guy again. And he listens to your story with a little more interest now, because apparently he realizes there's something for him in it. And then when you ask about getting the contents of the box, you can see that gets a little suspicion going for him.
Do you think I recognize that my story
is... I think you've done enough interrogations in the past.
Yeah, and I go,
he's just like,
of course,
that's kind of maybe over the line kind of thing.
Yeah, and I go, no. And of course, I would expect there to be an administrative fee, which I'm happy to pay for, because I'm sure this is a lot of paperwork that would need to be done. And again, I don't want you guys being stuck. It's not your fault my brother-in-law has skipped town.
Yeah, and he sort of says, do you have any record or documentation of your relationship to the customer?
Oh, I no. I mean, I'm just his brother-in-law, but we have been given access to his office, so we've cleared out his office already. The landlord's already straightened that out with us. Here you can see I've got some invoices, and I bring out my paperwork from upstairs and say, here you can see, this obviously came from the office. We've already kind of cleared that out. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you don't want the bill paid, that's fine. I'll just tell my sister that, that 4 years from now, a collection agency from Mexico is going to find her in St. Louis. I mean, it's totally up to you. I don't know how your owner feels about you not wanting to square the bill, but that's between you and the owner.
So I'll tell you what, Craig. I think I'm going to need you to give me a credit rating spend.
Oh, okay. I'm good with that.
And also a point of either reassurance or intimidation, depending on how you're spinning that conversation.
Definitely reassurance. So I will spend that, and I will spend credit rating as well. So that both I've set a point.
This guy, you're probably going to need to give him like $100, because this is a big break in his his official thing. But he kind of looks at you and looks at the money and thinks about it for a long time and looks at the invoices, and finally he just kind of nods and says okay, and he goes back and he comes back a minute or so later with a wad of envelopes and postcards and assorted stuff there.
Perfect.
So yeah, you kind of going through that, you can see that there are a number of what look like pretty ordinary bills addressed to Luz Discos. There's the electric bill and the water bill. Nothing seems to be particularly weird about those. The things that you find that are distinctive that kind of draw your attention to, one is a postcard, and the other is there are 2 letters from a familiar address in Los Angeles. And you guys should all have those visible now.
Do we know Dominguez?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
Merida is Yucatan, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I told you. I told you we had to go to Yucatan. I told you.
All right, and then we got a letter from Trammell.
Yeah. 21st of June, so that was 2 days before they left. I assume that perhaps we've, headed back to the hotel, gotten
sure. I assume you're not opening this up here in the front.
Gotten takeaway. So, and then, perhaps I'm I'm cutting the steak into little bits for Sal.
So.
And
Pre-chewing it like a baby bird for a baby bird. Okay, all right. So
giving him some tequila.
And I know the stuff with Tramel's handwriting is a little bit hard to read on the computer screen, so let me know if there's anything that's
yeah, we
not
can read it out to
clear
the
or you need
audience because I
help
think
with
the audience
that.
has a
Sure.
hard time seeing it.
I can read it out if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great, Mac.
All right. Let's see. First one. From the desk of Samson Trammell, 2285 Hyacinth Street, Pasadena, California.
Which is the building you raided.
It no longer exists. 21st, is that 21st?
29th.
Oh, 29th of June, 19... Oh, goodness. 1937.
That's wrong. That's a typo. It's 1935. That's my bad.
Okay.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Letters from the future.
Oh, God. I need to make a sanity check. Wow.
No.
29th of June, 1935. Jonathan. My patience grows thin, Jonathan. I look at the incredible sacrifices that Montgomery has made in this past year, and the incredible rewards which have been reaped from those sacrifices, and I find myself asking, when has Jonathan ever made a sacrifice like that? I begin to wonder if I have chosen poorly in you. Never forget that you exist to serve the glory of the mouth. And so, I anticipate an update from you soon. Where is our nectar? When will you be able to fulfill your promises in South America so that I can turn my attention fully to the United States? Where is the new record you have promised? Hurry, Jonathan. I am waiting, but I will not wait forever. Samson Trammell.
Okay, so real quick, Adrian is in charge of reading all letters going forward.
Oh yeah,
because that was amazing.
that was great.
Do we know a Montgomery, or is that a new name for us?
There was a
Jonathan. Sorry, Montgomery Jonathan. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No. You're the note keeper. This is great. I'm gonna stop saying things. You got this.
Montgomery Donovan in Malta.
Oh,
He was one of the 3 sites in the book. Malta, Bangkok, and Mexico City. He was in Malta.
Perfect.
He was a really frantic one.
Malta is the future home of the role-playing game Flabbergasted, made by the
I know.
Scorpino
I was
sisters.
listening to that interview the other day. You should all listen to it on Third Floor Wars.
Okay.
Right, now
That
for
is
the
interesting.
second letter.
Yes.
Right, which is also has the wrong year. The game
No,
was
this is
originally
August.
scheduled to be set in 1937, but this
Oh,
makes more
okay.
sense.
Interesting. All right. Once again from the desk of Samson Trammell. 3rd of July, 1935. Jonathan. Yesterday my home was attacked. Armed individuals stormed my house, held me at gunpoint, and took the testament. The mouth remains undisturbed, and nectar production continues, which is more than I can say for your operation. But they may be able to learn where you are, where all of the mouths are, and if their efforts continue, they may cause significant setbacks to our operation. Yours is the closest mouth to my own, and they may come to you first. If you would return to my good graces, find them, stop them, and return my testament. Otherwise, my disappointment will not be the only threat you must contend with. Samson Trammell.
I was concerned that Trammell had taken care of JB, but this gives me the impression that that was not the case.
JB cleared out before this.
And before he got the letter.
Yeah.
And if we read this correctly, there's still a mouth in LA, which I thought we burned down.
I think we only got to the kitchen, didn't we?
Yeah, the building was damaged in the fire, but you did not burn the whole place.
Okay. And then that means, so these mouths are making the drugs. And we have one here in Mexico. And now I feel, and we've got one here and we've got one. Like now, it's starting.
Or was there one here? Perhaps was there one at the record printing shop?
Yeah, I'm thinking there was.
Got it.
So, but I think we've still got to check wherever it was that they recorded, but where they did the recording.
Yeah, because they're looking for where's my. I mean, the letter says, "Where's my record?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the record
So-
is part of this. It's not just a
Yes.
front. He wanted a record.
Absolutely.
We have to do everything we can to
Wait.
figure out where the hell Brooks is. Go ahead, Adrian.
So they were specifically recording the song of the mouth, and they booked out recording space. Is their
18
mouth
times.
mobile? Is it something they keep on them?
I have no goddamn idea.
Fair enough. Either way, I'm pretty sure there is one here. They need something to record, unless it's not the mouth itself, but my best guess is that's something that's a bit more transportable than being stuck in a wall.
Yeah, maybe they're recording it wherever this thing is, and then
I think it's
bringing
at
it to
Manana
get
Studio.
pressed. I don't know. I have no idea. But I think we need to go to the studio, and I think we need to figure out what the studio is. But
I mean,
if he is running away from Trammell, he might become an asset for us, especially if we can say we'll protect him from Trammell. I mean,
the mouth might have already been taken care of. You said that there was some shape at the manufacturer, wasn't there?
Yeah, that could be the mouth that's being referred to here, but I feel like top priority is seeing if Brooks is alive. Find out, and if so, let's find him so we can figure out why he cleared out. Because it wasn't based off of the threats that we read in this letter from Trammell, because he never read that.
And he also left before he got the postcard.
Exactly. That's right. He's never even seen the postcard.
So do we want to go there first or stick around? Well, we still have to go to the recording studio, but after that, do we want to stick around here a bit longer or hightail it to Yucatan?
I think let's find out what's going on at the studio, and if we don't have anything that leads us beyond there, then road trip.
Yeah, but Yucatan's a big place. I mean, where
We can go to the
you'd
site
need
with
something more to work on.
Well, it says specifically Ruinas de Chichen Itza. They're going to a specific ziggurat.
Yeah, I think we could go to there, I guess, would be my thought.
And we can also check out Rio Tigris 64. That address. Apparently that was his, home address? Because the Luz Discos was in 33 Morelos. This is Rio Tigris.
Is that a district in Mexico City?
It's not a district. It is an address in Mexico
Okay.
City. It looks like it's just judging from the map and comments around there. It looks like it's a slightly more upscale neighborhood, mostly residential.
I'm with you, Doctor. Let's go record studio, and then let's go figure out what Fancy Pants Home is tied to that address.
Pausing for the day or keeping going for now? I'd recommend we take a second, but leave it up to the group.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with making that a tomorrow.
Yeah, you have been for 4 days in a car.
Yeah,
So you obviously got to stretch your legs a little bit today, but you're probably all a little bit fatigued. So you can head back to the hotel, get a nice dinner, and then get some rest. Sal, the Novocaine is, or whatever it was, is starting to wear off, and you've got that kind of ache in your jaw. The aspirin helps some, but it's not a comfortable afternoon. Are we looking at 4 individual rooms here, or people grouping up? Yeah, you're on an expense account, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one thing that Adrian will do at some point.
Mhm.
Right before we go to bed. If there's something we all want to do before that, let me know. But whenever he had to bed a bit earlier, and then whatever door is James's, he had also picked up from that corner store a Spanish language noir little comic slice,
Beautiful.
and it left it there for James.
And I know
Nice.
exactly who did it, even though I didn't see it dropped off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so sweet. Anybody else have anything they want to get done this evening?
I think Alice will check on Sal, like, is
Mhm.
everything, just as a nurse, and perhaps say, well, you can have another aspirin, and just check that, it looks all fine. So you did well, Sal. And head to
He
her
just
own.
sort of nods and says, somewhat more, legible now, or more understandable. Yeah, this aspirin ain't worth the filler material it was put in.
I might have something. I might have something stronger.
I'm just doing a quick history check, and paracetamol, i.e. Tylenol, is in existence now, so that probably is a little better. Of course, Alice might have something significantly stronger, prescriptions.
Well, I think Alice has got some stuff in her bag. I mean, when she left the army as a nurse, she took some stuff with her, so she won't get out the really strong stuff, but something that's a bit more stronger than the Tylenol, and she'll say, this will help you sleep.
Alice is going to get you high.
Thank you.
Yeah, I suspect that Sal is probably going to sleep like a log the entire night.
Yeah. That may be a bad thing, though.
No. Yeah, so night passes without incident, no weird dreams, no men coming through the door with a gun. And, in the morning, everybody gets up, meets for breakfast. Sal, still a little achy, but honestly, all things considered, not too bad. And the day is yours.
Breakfast and recording studio.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. You head over to Estudio del Mañana, which is actually on the same main street as Luz Discos. It's like a mile and a half down the road. It looks like it is, like a single story, sort of big, flat, wide office building. Sign out front just says Estudio del Mañana. It's not like a big billboard. Again, it's just like a little sign next to the door. It does not appear to be open. I mean, there's no lights on inside or anything like that. But
I heard a noise around back,
so
I think I need to go check that out.
Okay. All right. You head back there. There is a back door.
Yeah, I just heard it again. So I feel like someone's in danger inside.
Okay. So you're going to make this door be open, is what I'm hearing?
We are.
Okay. Is everybody else back there with James?
That is up to them.
I'd say I'll be on the lookout, at least.
Okay, so kind of at the corner, sort of you can see both.
Sal will be back there with James. Sal will have a duffel bag on.
Okay.
That contains a party favor.
Perfect. Tools.
All right.
Do another raid. Oh no.
But does it look like it's closed because it's really early, or are we there at a time that most businesses would be open?
Well, I mean, you tell me. Were you trying to get there before opening hours, or
No, I was thinking opening hours is when we would.
Yeah, so you would expect there to be some activity here. I mean, it's a Tuesday morning, so it's
that's why I was thinking.
Now, that said, if it's a recording studio, musicians often keep
knows?
later hours, so it's hard to say. But there doesn't seem to be activity in there. All right, so you head around back and fiddle with the lock a little bit, and it turns out it wasn't really locked after all. And then, so you just open the door?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, inside it looks like this is like a kind of an access hallway. There's a little, powder room, bathroom off to one side, opening up into what looks like a lobby up ahead of you. You step up there, and yeah, it's a big, kind of nicely decorated Art Deco lobby. You can see there's like I don't know that any of you have any particular familiarity with the sound recording process, but there's like a control room and what look like a couple little sort of soundproof recording rooms. And the thing that strikes you the most when you come into the lobby, with like a couch and a desk and a couple chairs, is sitting up from the couch is a guy probably in his mid 30s, I guess, who is just kind of sat up from the couch where it looks like he's been sleeping. There's like a sheet and a blanket on there. He's in kind of his shirt sleeves, and he looks kind of rumpled, like he's maybe been sleeping in that clothing. And as you come through the door, he is there with a revolver, like a 38, kind of pointed in your direction, and says something in Spanish.
I pull my gun in Spanish and point it back to him. But as I'm doing that, I'm putting my hand like a de-escalation gesture with my hand. Like this is not what we want to do.
Okay. So
what's Sal doing?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. Sal is certainly the more intimidating of the two on a purely physical basis.
I think he's going to have removed the typewriter and poked the barrel around the door.
Oh shit!
And
so now it's serious. All right.
Hablo inglés?
So, a little? Who the hell are you?
We're friends of Trammell. And we're looking for JB.
Huh. All right. So when you say Trammell, that seems he doesn't. There's no sign of any recognition for
which
him.
Is important. Okay.
When you say you're looking for JB, he kind of sits up a little straighter, and he says, "As a friend or an enemy?"
We're trying to figure that out. Our hope and our employer's hope is that it's as friends, but we're not going to know that until we find him.
Go ahead. Can you spend me a point of reassurance?
I sure can. I can spend my last point of reassurance.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. Done.
Okay. Well, he still has the gun. He's not like pointing specifically at anybody, but he still has it out. And from looking at him, both of you guys can tell that this is not a person who is used to shooting people. But he basically says, well, Brooks is looking for me. And if you help him find me, then we're going to have a problem.
We will not have any problems whatsoever. I have no interest in helping Brooks find you. Our concern is Brooks. I also need to know when's the last time that you recorded the mouth.
He kind of cocks his head like, I'm not. I don't know what you mean.
Your business.
My English is not so good.
At this point, not getting a sense that, and if I'm hearing you correctly, Brian, we're not in a Reservoir Dogs situation here.
No, he seems like, honestly, looking at this guy, he seems scared.
Okay.
More than anything else.
And super gringo, uno momento. And I'm going to go grab Alice.
Okay.
So that we don't have a language barrier. And Adrian. At this point, I don't think we need a lookout. and bring him in. And Alice, I brief you a little bit on what the cover story is, what we're doing. This guy doesn't want Brooks to find him, so we're working for Trammell, who he did not seem to understand or recognize. He looked at me funny when I said a recording for the mouth, so I don't think he understands that concept. But we need to figure out what his business with Brooks was, right? And hopefully, I'm limited. Yeah, Doc.
I was gonna say. I also turned to Sal and just say, I think you don't need to keep the heavy arm out right now.
Or he can, and I kind of put the if you start to put the gun away, I'm not ready for Sal to unpoint.
He will lower it. He certainly doesn't point it at this gentleman.
Okay.
He says the name Armonio de los Dioses. That was the name on the invoice.
Right. Okay, yes. So he says, okay. Look, all I do for Brooks is record his records, okay? We started about 2 years ago if and when it becomes clear that Alice speaks Spanish, he would probably switch to Spanish because he's a lot more fluent there. So there's some back and forth there. But he says, so about 2 years ago, he came to me. He wanted to have some records with his wife singing. We recorded their first album here, came out last spring, seemed to go pretty well. They wanted to start doing a second album. And so we started doing some recording again, and this time it's been weird. I never saw Leticia, the singer. He would come in here and record the music, and then take that away to record her vocals somewhere else. I don't think anybody's seen her in 6 months. But then about a month ago, the manufacturer who made the first set of records said he wasn't going to work on the new one anymore. He said he thought it was evil and he wasn't going to press it. And then some of Brooks's men came to me and said they wanted to know if I could help convince him to change his mind. And they made pretty clear that they were not going to take no for an answer. I said I didn't think there was anything I could do. And then 2 days later, his factory burns down with him inside it. And then last week, more of Brooks's, I'm going to say thugs, because I think that's the best word for them, came here with his bodyguard, who was this big Russian guy, I think. Came to my house, started banging on my door. And so I snuck out the back, and I've been living here ever since. I think they're leaving this alone because they think they might need the studio. Otherwise, this place would probably already be burned down.
Alice, ask him how we can find Brooks. We might be able to solve his problem.
I do.
Okay. He says, well, I don't, he can, I don't have his address. We did all the work here. I have Leticia's address, but it's at my house. She wrote it down on the matchbook the first time we met, and I saved those things because you never know who's going to be famous, right? I've got that address there. I don't know. I think they just moved recently, or he just moved. I don't really know. I heard about him. He said something about buying some property, but I don't know all the details about that. I don't know really how to find him beyond that.
You know where the bodyguard lives, or where we could find the bodyguard?
No, he's usually around Brooks, so I imagine wherever Brooks is, he'd be there.
So, well, if they haven't been here, we've been to the office, and it's clear that they're gone. They've cleared out.
No, that's me. I cleared. I cleared that place. Oh no, wait, sorry. No, I'm crossing that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It sounded like he was relocating some of his operations.
Can you tell us about Rio Tigris, that street, that area?
It's a nice neighborhood. That's not really my part of town, but yeah, it's supposed to be nice.
We think that may be an address he has.
Okay, then maybe you don't need me.
Well, I think perhaps we should go by your place because you haven't been there for the past week, have you?
Nope.
And we can look up Letitia's address, and you can see, if they haven't been there, and they haven't been to the studio either. I mean, if they're looking for you, they would have come to the studio as well. So
yeah,
then,
yeah. I feel like if they really wanted to find me, they would have known to come here, but they haven't. So maybe it's not a problem, but I don't feel like taking chances.
Well,
but,
do you want to come with us, or
I don't think
we can
so.
protect ourselves, or do you mind giving us keys to the house?
He kind of looks you over, and he says, "You know what? Sure." And he hands you keys. He says, "There's a jar on my mantelpiece over the fireplace that has a bunch of matchbooks and flyers and all sorts of old paraphernalia. There's one that should be close to the top for a place called El Cochinillo, and that her address is written in that."
okay. Do you want us to get anything else? Grab anything else from your place?
Do you need anything?
I would love a change of clothes, frankly. But other than that, the best thing you could do for me, if you want to help me, is help me get Brooks off my tail.
Yeah, we'll solve that problem.
Yes. So, and you don't know where any of other Brooks's men hang out, or?
I've only seen them around him. He seems to be. He's obviously got money. He came down here, met Letitia, or Rosario, as she was called at the time, and then he kind of isolated her out. And I don't know where his people hang out other than when they're guarding him.
Do you know somebody named Harmonia?
No, that was the name of one of the songs. That was the last song they recorded here.
Ah, okay.
And Dominguez, does that name ring a bell?
It's a common name. No, nobody in particular.
Okay.
We'll be back with a change of clothes, and you might want to shower.
Yeah, I'd love to. We don't normally have a shower here.
I think we leave the guy alone. Kind of huddle together and let's go to his house. Let's figure out, get to this Letitia. Now we've got 2 more addresses, right? And potential a friend if we need one, or at least one that has a potentially mutual enemy.
Okay.
Do you have, by the way, just before we leave, do you have any of the recordings?
Sure. He says.
Yeah.
He comes by and he brings you. Now, a bit of trivia for those of you who have come of age in the later time. The reason they were originally called record albums is because there would be 4 or 5 discs in a big envelope kind of situation, because each one individually couldn't record very long. So each song was one side of an album, and then you had 3 or 4 together in a set. And he brings out a set of LPs basically from this this was their first album. He says none of the second one has gotten pressed yet, obviously. But
do you have any of the recordings for the pressings, or do you know where they are?
No, the last ones we recorded the band here, and then he took them away to get the vocals on.
Got it.
I don't know even where they're going to press them now that Novo is gone. But,
okay, clear. Thank you.
Good luck, he says.
So now I gotta pull the curtain a little bit. Are all these assets in the pack? Like you got a record with the logo on it and everything?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff. Justin Alexander produced a lot of them. I've
that's cool.
added or customized some stuff myself, but yeah, they're
very nice.
I'm a prop junkie, so you guys get to enjoy that. All right, so where to next?
We have a matchbook to find.
All right, so going over to his house. His name, by the way, I don't know if I ever told you. His name is Victor Cortez. He would have introduced himself along the way. Yeah, and his place is not too far from here. It's kind of on the eastern edge of that Coyoacan neighborhood. As you get close, it looks like a pretty, lower middle class, not very expensive, but kind of pleasant neighborhood, little bungalows, chicken coops in the yards, dogs napping in the shade, vegetable gardens, very, very domestic. Yeah, so you certainly find the address. It's like again, one of those small little bungalows. It's probably, like one bedroom and a kitchen kind of setup.
So Sal is not stopping.
Okay.
He's going to drive through first by, and do some counter surveillance because he thinks that this is a setup. He expects us to be ambushed. So he's going to do what he can to see who's watching for us to arrive.
Right.
Okay. Seems reasonable. Go ahead and give me a sense trouble roll. Okay. Nice. So Sal's instincts, honed from a life of crime, seem to stand him in good stead. Because as you're driving by, you're kind of like letting everybody else look at the house, and you're kind of scanning the surrounding areas. And the one thing that stands out is like in not exactly an alleyway, but in kind of the space between a couple buildings across the street. There's a guy who's just kind of leaning against the side of a building, smoking a cigarette. And just kind of glancing over and looking around, and just something about that says to you, look out.
Does it look like a local, or does he look Russian?
No, it looks Hispanic.
Okay. I saw it too, Sal.
Did you?
Let's park and maybe ask him if we can bum a cigarette.
Perhaps have one of us go in while you watch him, or
would rather solve that problem first, if that's okay. That's what. Are we good with that?
Yep.
So, park a little ways away.
Okay.
Sal, you and I can go visit our friend.
You said he was between two buildings, correct?
Yeah. So it was like leaning aside against the one house on the side with another one.
I want to come in from behind him.
Yep. Okay. I'll approach him, and then you come from behind.
Okay. Easily enough done.
Yeah, I come up and I have an unlit cigarette, and I'm gesturing to see if does he have a light. I want to get his attention so somebody else can come behind him.
That seems entirely reasonable.
It's way too much die rolling going on here, Brian.
Don't even worry about it. There's tables in the background. It's like I'm checking the weather. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. Yeah. So he he kind of straightens up as he sees you coming up, and then you give him the cigarette, and apparently for whatever reason he buys it, so he just kind of nods and pulls out a lighter and gives you a light, and then I'm getting the impression that Sal is coming up from behind.
Yep.
What are you planning to do, Sal? Just
I'm gonna
grab him, confront him.
No, I'm gonna grab him, hand across his mouth, and use my rather large bulk just to dragging down the alley to a place where we can have, calm discussion.
Quiet conversation. Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so go ahead and give me a stealth roll. Your target number is only 3 because he's well and truly distracted by James.
Okay.
No problem. And then I'm not going to make you make a scuffling roll because you've got the drop on him and he doesn't know you're there until it's too late. Yes, you basically grab this guy and he kind of struggles a little bit, but it quickly becomes apparent that he's kind of tall and gangly, but you definitely have the mass and the muscle on him, not to mention you got the drop on him. So you're just kind of dragging him like back behind the house kind of thing?
Yeah, just where we can get out of the main line of sight, just to have,
I mean, I will say that there's a lot of people in this neighborhood, kind of out back hanging up laundry or doing whatever stuff there. So there's not a lot of really private areas outdoors.
Should we let's give him a tour of the house? Let's take him into the house. So, and making it very clear to him
into the house.
Keep quiet and let's get Alice and Doc and let's the 5 of us take a look at this. And if there's any sign that he is trying to get away, that he's going to make some noise or anything along those lines, between Sal and I think we would try to silence him as quickly as possible.
Sure.
Sal's going to stick right to him, and Sal has the knife, his dagger, his mafia dagger, stuck right up against his kidneys.
And I seem to remember that Sal is reasonably good at intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah. So this guy, obviously he's not happy about it, but he knows when he's been beat. So he looks like he's not saying anything, but he's just kind of sullenly going along with you.
Sal looks over to Alice and says, "Can you translate for me?"
Sure.
Tell him
if Abla says English.
He shakes his head.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Tell him that I've had a very bad day so far. I have not killed anyone. He looks like a decent sort. But I have
he doesn't really, but you can say that.
Putting this dagger through his kidneys. And it's a slow death.
And Alice is going to add at the end, she's saying it she's playing the kind of the good cop and like a bit apologetic and kind of friendly, and then at the end she's going to say, he had a tooth pulled, a molar pulled yesterday. He's a bit on edge. Don't try his patience.
And he kind of gives this sad little wince, but he just kind of nods.
And when we're inside the house, I'm gonna, looks like Sal and Alice have this. Doctor, I'm gonna go to the fireplace there, get our address. Maybe if you can get the change of clothes and see if there's anything else interesting in the bedroom, maybe that he would want.
All right.
So you guys get to the front.
If you would, have him lay flat on the ground, head down, arms outstretched. That way he can't see what we're doing. And tell him if he moves, I'm going to use his ass as a rug.
El usa su posterior como alfombra.
And he just kind of shakes his head a little bit. And he would probably be laughing if his life wasn't in immediate danger. But he, again, just kind of reluctantly but obediently assumes the described position.
Sal's going to punctuate that with, a simple couple words. El Rugo.
Yes. Classic. Yeah, so like when you get to the front door, it's immediately apparent as you look at it that it has been pulled shut, but this door has been broken open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And once you open the door, the whole place is kind of a wreck. I mean, it's clearly been ransacked, but there's almost a sense of like gratuitous vandalism about it. Like, there's not anything here, but I'm going to wreck it anyway. I mean, paintings have been smashed, records have been broken, mirrors have been broken. On the wall above the fireplace, there is something that has been like hand painted on in this orange smear that says "Te vemos," which is Spanish for "we see you." Then there is you do see the jar on the mantelpiece that he was talking about. It looks intact. It's full of guitar picks and ticket stubs and everything else. So you can certainly find the matchbook described, which has an address written inside it.
Yeah. Alice, I'd like to know who signs his paychecks too, if we could.
And I think we'll ask him, who are you watching the house for? Where do you report to? Who do you report to? How do we get in contact with that person?
So he clearly seems like he doesn't want to talk. I think I will need somebody to actually spend a point of information or intimidation to kind of get him going, because he's certainly at least starting out by trying to be a tough guy.
Oh, we can't hear you, Chris.
Muted.
How do I spend it without rolling?
Just hit the plus and then a little investigation symbol
or intimidation.
Looking glass.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, cool. So once it becomes clear that Sal is more than happy to indulge in some personal violence to get some answers, he tells you that he has been he works for a guy named Jonathan Brooks. He hasn't seen him in a couple weeks, but he has his kind of standing orders. He's been keeping an eye out for Cortez or anybody who comes looking for him. And he says he is supposed to, he periodically drops reports at his boss's penthouse, which is that Rio Tigris address that you saw.
Excellent.
He says sometimes he goes there and they have a message for him at the desk telling him to go somewhere and wait for a phone call. But he hasn't seen him. He hasn't seen Brooks or the Russian in a couple of weeks.
Okay. And then I think he's probably a bit bruised, and Alice will mend him a little bit, like, okay. And then when we've gotten everything out of him that we've asked for, anything else that we wanted to know? How long have you been working for Jonathan Brooks?
Let me see. Where did my timeline go? He's been there for probably about a year.
Okay. Are you a local, or have you moved here from somewhere else? Do you have family?
No, I grew up near here.
Grew up near here. Okay. What does your mother think about what you're doing?
He kind of turns and gives you this dirty look. And he says, we're not going to talk about my mother.
What do you think your mother's going to think when you turn up dead? What do you think that's going to do with your mom?
If I'm going to turn up dead, why am I telling you anything else, huh?
Well, I'm giving you an opportunity. We are giving you an opportunity to avoid that scenario, because it's quite clear if you continue working for this Jonathan Brooks, that is what's going to happen to you.
Okay, so what do you want from me?
I think that you need to take a little holiday. Perhaps it's time to take your dear mother on that pilgrimage she always wanted to go on. You need to lie low. You need to leave the city for a little while, and then think about your life. Think about where you're going and how you want to make your mama happy, or prevent her from becoming very sad.
Sure, he says. I'll do that.
Will you really? because there's an alternative as well. And then I look towards Sal.
Sal's going to.
And this is all in Spanish, but I look towards Sal, and
Sal's going to put his knee in the middle of the guy's back, take the blade, and rest it along the backside of one of his ears, his right ear, and just start pressing.
All right. I'll do it. I'll leave. I'll go out of town with Mama.
okay, good.
Do I have to take my sister?
No,
Okay.
that's all right.
It's a deal.
Take your mother somewhere place nice. Think about your life, and don't get mixed up with people like Jonathan Brooks and the Russian. You can do so much better. And she's all sweetened, and she'll pet him, and perhaps and take out, she'll like. And here's an aspirin.
And while you're being nice, you can see he sort of thinks about it for a moment. And he says, a trip like that isn't cheap.
Cheaper than a funeral. Oops, sorry. Not my line.
and she'll look at him and say, young man, don't push your luck.
Okay.
So.
You seemed nice.
Well, I seem nice.
Yes. So let's see, Adrian. You're certainly able to go through and grab a duffel bag full of clothes. A lot of them have been pulled out and flung around the room and that kind of thing. But you're able to pull some stuff together.
I'm just
nothing
thinking,
else.
Do we want to drop him off at his mom's place?
Oh, I think we should definitely do that. That's the least we could do. It's very courteous of us.
So.
This poor schlub.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's anything else particularly, important or significant going on here. This was the dude's house. He didn't seem to be up to anything abnormal, but whoever has come through here is clearly up to something.
A question I would want to know an answer to, and it may have already come up in the conversation that they had, is like, would Brooks be expecting to hear from him on a daily basis or just when something happens?
Usually every couple days.
Okay. And when's the last time he checked in with Brooks? I'm trying to figure out how much time we have.
I mean, he dropped a message off yesterday.
Oh, perfect.
So another day or two. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Adrian will be looking around, just seeing, is there anything like a rosary or anything in the house?
There is almost certainly, or was, a crucifix on the living room wall that has been pulled down and chucked in a corner. But you don't see any like personal stuff like that.
Okay.
All right, so you're escorting your friend out, and so he kind of stands there as if expecting to be let go, and then you guys make it clear that you're taking him for a ride, and you ask him for his mother's address, and his face just does this sort of slow crashing thing, and he turns to Alice, and he's just like, please don't get her involved in this. I'm going to do what you said, but
well, we want to make sure that you will. You take your mother on a nice pilgrimage, on a nice little holiday, and she won't get involved. She won't get involved in anything. She'll only have this.
Okay. Well, he gives you an address. It's probably about half an hour away. It's kind of on the other side of downtown. And you get there and he says, this is it. It looks like another, again, kind of low to middle class neighborhood. And you let him out?
Yeah,
we should probably knock on the door to see if this mummy's home.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So is one of you getting out with him and knocking on the door?
Sal will.
Sal?
Okay.
Sal,
Yes, Doctor?
just let him go to his mother.
Oh, he will.
All
No
right,
intimidation factor, Sal. Just pure gringo. No intimidation. Yeah? Yeah?
Sal says nothing as he's leading the young man to the house.
All right,
Poor kid.
I mean, you get out and Sal is with him, and he is again just kind of, oh, Dios mío. And he actually, like, there's the house you got in front of, and he sort of walks down 2 houses and goes to that door because he was trying to cover it up a little bit. And so he's reaching for the knob. Are you going to stop him and knock?
Yeah, I'm going to stop him. None too softly.
Uh-huh.
And then knock on the door myself. Hard.
Okay. So after 10 seconds or so, the door opens and there is a probably 50-ish Mexican woman starting to go gray, just
Super
kind of
young.
in like a but yeah, in some kind of house coat that's vaguely moo-moo-ish almost. And she opens the door and she sees her son and her face breaks into a smile, and then she looks up and sees this big man behind him and says something to her son in Spanish, and her son looks for all the world like he's 6 years old again and was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And he says, he's kind of, his head is down, and he says something very quietly in Spanish to her, and she gets the sort of an angry face on, and she looks up at Sal and starts just rattling off at you in Spanish.
Sal's going to look at her for just a moment,
mm-hmm.
and then he's going to push her son
mm-hmm.
into the house
mm-hmm.
and just say "Ruggo" and walk away.
Okay, so as Sal is walking away, the rest of you see this woman kind of storming out the front door, shaking her fist. Actually, she pulls off one of her sandals and shakes it.
She's got a chancla in her hand.
For sure, the chancla comes out. Alice, you can tell that she's saying something like, "I don't know who you are, and I don't care where you come from, but don't you give my boy any trouble. I know your face, mister." And
Adrian is sinking into the car. Did you never see him this
I didn't
afraid?
See any of this.
Does not want to be seen at all.
Alice is going to, hang out the window while say, "Sal, come in here," and she'll shout back in really bad Spanish. It's like, enjoy the trip with your son. He promised to take you to, and then she'll say some very popular, a really nice place,
resort destination.
Yeah. So.
El Resorto de Relaxo.
Yeah.
and she, as you guys are pulling away, she storms back into the house.
Yeah. And then we'll drive.
Congratulations, you're going to Tijuana.
Yeah, you're going to Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure he takes you to Tijuana. And then we're driving, and I said, look at the others like, okay, do we do the penthouse now? Well, we know he hasn't had the opportunity to warn them, or do we check out Letitia's address?
Well, as we're driving back, I think I'm going to suggest, I don't think I think we've been lucky up to this point. Just kind of walking and finding empty buildings. I think we need to plan for this next visit. It sounds like this is actively where our friend works. I still think we have a chance to not burn down Brooks's house, that Brooks might actually be helpful to us. But I think we also can't be naive and walk in there and expect him, with our connection to Trammell, enemy or not, for him not just to wipe us. So I think we need to put some thought behind this.
Okay. which brings me to a question. Just given the real world time, are we good to press on a little longer? I'm good to go ahead if you guys are, but we can also call the session here if you would prefer.
I'd love to wrap it up in the next 15. So you
sure.
time
Yeah,
it
we
from
can do
there.
that.
Great.
Okay.
Sal is going to look to see if they're being tailed.
Sure. You can go ahead and make me a sense trouble roll if you like. Looks clear.
Okay.
So do we plan, or do we check out Letitia's, or we drop off the clothes?
Yeah.
He's
Do we
grateful.
stake out the penthouse?
I think that's our next target. But I think what I don't know is what I'm saying making sense. I don't know what our approach is. Right. I don't want to potentially die. A. B. I don't want to burn a potential ally. And then C. I don't want to walk in there like with any level of naivete, which brings me back to A.
Well, if this is Brooks's place, he didn't pick up his correspondence with Trammell has gone through the postal office. He hasn't picked that up. He hasn't been seen there for a while. We need to scout it somehow. We need to get some more info. I mean, is there someplace else that we can get some more information on the penthouse? Well, check out the neighbors, I can imagine, and just, see what it's like there. Or we visit Letitia, but I'm getting the feeling that,
I think this is our address. I mean, Letitia, if we get nothing here, maybe, before we go to the Yucatan or anything like that, I think we checked out that address, but I feel like that address is old news at this point, or not a priority. I think we need to find Brooks and hopefully talk to Brooks. But I'm honestly saying that James, I don't know the right way to approach this.
Or this Russian. Well, we go to the building.
Okay.
Just at least get the lay of the land.
Sal
first.
pipes up and says, we need to be careful of the Russian.
Yeah.
They're not so gentle.
Also, Adrian will request, after we've dropped off the clothes to Mr. Cortez, if we could go back to the art district real quick. He just wants to pick up a small paint set.
Yeah, his place is actually not too far from there, so it's certainly easy enough to grab it on the way.
Well, if we're going shopping, Charo mariachi suit for Sal and the sombrero.
Okay.
Wow. Are you putting them on now?
If I can, yes.
Sure. It takes a couple stops to find one in your size, but they do that, and it is. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be a penalty on stealth checks. You stand out in it, but it's a look for sure.
But I love the idea that Sal thinks he's blending in.
So far, we in Mexico we spent money on a hotel, bribery, in a mariachi outfit,
And some paint.
And some paint.
That was at the personal fund. That was at my personal
Right.
fund.
Okay. You're not expensing that one.
That's not billable.
Sal won't expense
I
the suit.
can't trace it.
I was going to say, if Janet sees that on the expense report, she's going to have some questions.
His disguise.
It's not a good discuss. Oh, Sal, I do have a serious question. You see what you're wearing, yeah? Have you seen that on any other person while we've been in Mexico? Besides a mariachi performer.
No.
And can you remind me what the point of it is again?
I look good.
Oh, well, you know what? Can't argue with that. All right.
I mean, yeah, man's got his priorities here.
I'm
So
not trying
you
to
guys,
blend in.
exactly. It is not a sin to be poor, only to dress poorly. So you make your way over to Rio Tigris, which, like I said, is near downtown, kind of on the far side from most of the other places. The address is a 10-story apartment building. It's like red brick. The first couple stories have been painted a nice yellow color. And this is definitely a more upscale place than you've seen so far. From the outside, that's really all you can see about it.
Is there a concierge or a guard, or is it...
There's nobody outside, like a doorman or anything else. You're not sure what's going on inside yet.
Do you need a key to get into the hall, or...
Doesn't look like it. I mean, just, looking from across the street, it's hard to be sure, but it looks like it's probably some kind of lobby or something, and then going up to the individual apartments.
I'm struggling. I don't know what to do.
Is there a restaurant or something that's within eyesight of this, the front of this?
I think it's reasonable to assume that there's like a little, kind of an upscale cafe on the corner with some outdoor seating.
Okay. That's where Sal suggests that we head.
Okay. Seems reasonable.
One, because he's hungry, and two, we can kind of get our wits about us.
Right, exactly. So you're able to grab one of the outside tables. They have some really excellent tamales here, and you probably spend an hour or so there, and you can see, occasionally there are people going in and out. Most of the ones that you see don't look like bodyguards, or they just look like people that live there, well-dressed, older folks mostly, but nothing that looks particularly suspicious to you.
Are they using a key to get in, or are they just walking in?
No, they just open the front door and walk in.
I have a question, a bit of a backtrack about back when we were in Cortez's house.
Mm-hmm.
The eye that said "We see you." Was it very simple, or could Adrian parse any?
I'm sorry, there wasn't an eye. It was just like somebody had painted that on the wall.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I just wanted to check.
Yep.
Perhaps a delivery?
Well, we have one of the records. You could say we could give
you
them
do have an album, yeah.
We could say we were sending them one of the copies directly.
What's everybody's gut say? Do we think, based on everything we've pieced together so far, that approaching Brooks and saying, we have a common enemy, and I think we can help each other, do you think that puts us in danger or sets us up well, or...
I think it puts us in danger,
okay,
because taking care of us is what Trammell wants, and we'll put him in Trammell's good graces again.
Okay.
I think that whoever does this type of thing, I don't think we could trust them.
Okay.
They might be desperate and afraid, and we might be able to use them, but I don't know if that type of people change.
We still don't exactly know if it was Trammell that burnt down the building and put in,
Well, it was Trammell's people in any case, so...
Indeed, but something seems off.
I think we want to know, is anybody there? Is anybody in? So if we could get a message or delivery, and I don't know if one of us should be doing it. We need to get somebody local.
Smart.
To deliver something, to see if they open, to see if there's anybody home. Because perhaps...
I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
Because nobody's been seen for a couple of weeks, and I think did the guy that we found who was watching Cortez's house, did he say that he'd seen or spoken to anybody, or just that he dropped messages off?
They'd gotten messages back and forth. He hasn't actually seen either of
but
either
he
his
has
boss or his
got
money or in
messages.
a couple of weeks. Yeah.
He has got.
So he's still getting information, but he hasn't seen them personally.
Okay.
What do we think about maybe just calling the front desk and asking to be connected up? And just
Would they have telephones?
I mean, it's kind of an upscale place. I think it's reasonable that they might.
And just see if there's anybody there, right, that picks up. We can ask if they have Sorali in a can or something and hang up.
We'd be taking them off.
We see you too.
Yeah, I am, and I'm not saying this as a player. I think James is willing to roll either way. I don't think James has a strong sense of what the right move is. So whatever Alice and Adrian and Sal decide on, I think that I'm behind it.
Well, we can see if we can draw them out. I mean, they're looking for Cortez.
Mm-hmm.
So if we send up a message, get some local boy or something to run up with a message, or to drop off a message like, you're looking for Cortez. We know where he is.
I think they know where Cortez is.
I mean, they do too.
If it were me, I would check. I mean, after his house, I'd go straight to the business.
Yeah.
So
And he mentioned the only reason they haven't done something here is they need this place, right?
Yes, I think they know where he is, and I think he is just a small part of this. Now, if we send a note up that says, "Hey, we have the testament," that would bring it up.
I'm thinking we want to know who's in that building.
Right.
We want to know. We want to see who responds. We want to knock and see who opens, but without them seeing us.
I am going to, at the cafe, I'm going to order a dessert to go.
Okay.
Let's have
excellent flan here.
Let's play it. Let's pay a kid to pretend to be food delivery. And then when the kid comes back, let's find out who described to us who answered the door.
Can I have that matchbox at the address on it?
Yep. Sure.
Just in case.
James, I was hoping that you would, take that for the road. In case we get, famished a little later on.
Yeah, make that two, sir. One for here, and then the other one to go.
The kid's gonna describe who asked this.
What? So, do you think
perhaps
that
that's just have one of us.
Yeah.
Some strange gringo asked me to deliver
in a
this.
mariachi suit.
Yeah. Honestly, most of the kids are probably not going to speak much English, so it would almost have to be Alice.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then let it be me. Let them not see you, and then just some strange she thinks gringa.
Well, what if we just tell the kid, hey, if they ask you a bunch of questions, just say nothing, play stupid, and come back. And
just say, Tramel. Just say Tramel. Tramel asked
to deliver it.
Asked to deliver it.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Doc. You have a disguise kit, right?
Not quite a disguise kit, but enough parts and pieces.
Just something to kind of break up Alice's features so that she's not quite as easily recognized.
Well, that should be easy.
Makeover.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you guys are doing this at the cafe, you know, and the waiter's
Probably,
like, he's
yeah,
seen weirder
probably in
shit
the
than this,
restroom.
you know. All right, sure. Yeah, so you, I mean, it's not like you have the situation to do like a hair dye or anything like that, but you can,
Oh yeah.
you know, restructure the hair and do the makeup to, you know, bring out her cheekbones or whatever.
Adrian's probably going to do it to emphasize the look of a tourist, so it's going to be in, you know, bright colors, a bright shirt, probably one of his own dress shirts, and some nice kind of brighter trousers, looking very much like a, not 1%, but a bit of a well-to-do woman who's just like excited to be here among the locals, essentially. Does the hair a bit different, makes the makeup a bit more pronounced.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and then Alice is going to, you know, we'll scout around, see if we can find any young children. and then
wealthy white American tourist starts looking for children. Yeah, okay, this is fine.
And then Alice is going to look out for some, and she'll bring some pesos, and she'll look for some, and like, you know, hey, would any of you in very heavily accented Spanish, she's got the Postal.
Who wants to make $1?
Yes, I've got some dollar. I got some pesos. Only thing you need to do is to deliver this to the penthouse in that building. And when if they ask you, well, no, just tell them it's compliments of Senor Trammell.
Okay. There's a little bit of scuffling and jostling for position, but eventually you find one that seems relatively intelligent as well as enthusiastic.
So, and she says, well, here is, and she thinks like, you know, is this too much or too little? Here's 2 pesos now. You come back and, you know, I'll be there. And she points to the corner. So you come back and you tell me who opened the door and said that, and I'll give you 3 pesos more.
Okay. He seems more than happy with that. And so he... Go ahead.
Oh, if I may, I turn to Sal quickly. Sal, I don't know as much about all this. Do you think that kid's going to be okay?
Oh, yeah, I think he'll be fine.
All right.
Okay, and I can imagine that the 3 of you are standing back. You're going to be, you know, you're not seeing. You're going to be watching me, keeping an eye on me while I wait out of sight, just in case he gets followed or somebody else comes for me. You're watching me and watching out for me.
Yep.
They may ask him a couple of questions, but they'll know that he doesn't have much skin in this game.
Right. So yeah, he happily takes a little to-go bag and scurries off across the street into the hotel. Alice, the remaining kids who are around there are sort of swarming around you and asking if there's anything else you need done. Can they shine your shoes? Can they go get you some food?
Let's practice my Spanish, and you know, she's going to keep the kids around. She wants
smart.
You know, just and you know, ask questions, and perhaps I think she's going to ask them about the building and about, you know, who lives there and have they ever seen any strange things, and you know, do you know who lives up at the penthouse? Isn't that some type of gringo? Aren't all those strange gringos or something? So she's just going to ask the kids what they know.
They don't seem to know anything. They know that rich people live there, and that's about the extent of it. You know, there's this one old lady that has a very funny looking dog that they see occasionally, and they'll tell you stories about that, but nothing that seems relevant. And then for those of you who are back at the cafe watching, you know, you see this kid dart across the street and go into the building, and probably a minute or so after he goes in, somebody else goes into the building, and he is a kind of tall, gangly fellow, doesn't quite look like the sort of person who would live in this building. And you have a funny feeling that he really should be on vacation with his mother.
Oh, monkey.
And I think we're going to call it here for this
monkey.
Yes.
Monkey. All right. We'll be back on the other side of the credits. the break screen by mistake. We're not taking a
Don't
break.
do
We're back. It's all you,
right.
Brian.
Well, all right. Well, let's talk about some stars and wishes. Chris, let's start with you. What was your high point of the day?
I want to say Alice and her translation. One, in character, that has been a lifesaver. Two, she does it with such, Naomi does it with such, almost innocence. It's good. That's thumbs up for me on that. Wishes? I don't know that I have any specific wishes right now. I mean, I'm enjoying the pacing. I'm absolutely enjoying the story and the group. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to 2 weeks.
Excellent. Naomi, how about you?
I think my star was how extremely slick James is at bribing postal officers. Because I was like, okay, we need to bribe him, and then it's just which raises questions for me about Craig, but just so smoothly says like, well, of course we don't want you to be stuck with the bill and all that type of thing. So that was really I really enjoyed that.
Nice, yeah.
Then I think same as Chris, I'm loving the pacing. We came here and I'm like, oh my God, are we going to find anything? But we're finding stuff. We're going from one place to the next. And well, I'm really curious how we can now our young man has not gone on holiday with his mother. How we're going to get into that penthouse, or I don't know how this is going to happen. Just really looking forward to finding out how
He's
that
going
goes.
to wish he had briefly.
Yeah, because we really can't burn down that building with all those other people. So that's not going to be an option.
I mean, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, but we shouldn't.
Never say never. But okay,
that's even a little extreme for Sal.
All right, Mac, how about stars and wishes from you?
I think my star was personally just Chris committing to the bit of Sal really hating dentists to the point that he is
It was beautiful.
Jubilant for the chance of violence.
Jubilant is the word too.
Yep. He has a lot of pent up emotions to get out.
Oh, that's funny.
Because it's such a beautiful difference in tone whenever Sal's usually played as very easygoing and almost the comedic effect. And then you remember, oh, this guy is with the mafia. It comes out sometimes, very concerning moments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any specific wishes. I'm very excited to see because I know that you've been doing a lot of research on the historical side of things, like what existed in the 1930s, especially
I'm a huge fact nerd, probably more than it deserves, but that's how I roll.
I love every time there's like a little fact they bring up, especially I love the Frida Kahlo call out. It's like his wife's doing something, nothing too big.
Right.
But yeah.
All right, cool. And Craig, how about you?
My star is easy, and that is Alice, the career counselor. That was my favorite bit.
That was pretty brilliant.
Again, just very believable. And I also, and this gets into something you hear me talk about a lot on the channel, is I love watching Naomi discover Alice, right? I think we're seeing aspects of this character come out, and that's a big reason why I love this hobby is watching characters form and become whole, which I felt like we did. And wishes, I wish that the pace stays the way it is, Brian. I'm going to reiterate, we've talked about what a trap mystery can be, and I don't feel like we are being fed, but I don't feel stalled either. This is a hell of a tightrope you're walking, and I wish to continue walking on it.
As long as I remember to give you the right props when you get there.
That's right. Yeah. You said it. You have set a new bar on the prop front.
Again, a lot of credit there goes to Justin Alexander.
Yeah,
there's a ton of props on his website for this. It's real good.
If you are in this hobby and have not gone to the Alexandrian, you're making a huge mistake. He also has a brand new book out, by the way, too, with GM advice, which is excellent. Very quickly, next week we are going to be look at you.
Yes, that book right there.
Yeah.
I have it too, but I have the PDF, which doesn't show up well on camera.
So very, very quickly, next week we are dark. There's going to be no podcast episodes or live streams because we're going to be camping. It's the spring camping for gamers. But when we come back, we've got Brittlewood Bay. We've got, of course, us here in 2 weeks from today. And very quickly, when is the next episode of Ascended Board Gamers coming out?
It's going to be at the first of the month. It's the first of every month, as it turns out. So May 1st, we're going to be trying something a little different. We're doing a deep dive into one of our favorite games and kind of breaking down what it's all about, who it's for, it's not for, what they've done right, what they've done wrong. I think it'll be fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. And missed playing with you guys. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy camping.
Cheers all. Thank you.
Bye.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.